As part of efforts to increase private sector investment in the gas subsector, as well as boost CNG infrastructure, the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative has reached an agreement with LNG Arete Limited on a $27.3 million plant project. Program Director and CEO of PCNGI, Michael Oluwagbemi, says the project is targeted at constructing a 27.3 million liquefied natural gas plant with a processing capacity of 7 million standard cubic feet per day. Oluwagbemi says the project will accelerate CNG infrastructure development in northern Nigeria.
LNG Arete Limited, having gone through various processes, including investment committees that partner organizations like the Midstream Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund, and putting up its own money, about $12 million to be exact, is now able to unlock counterpart funding from the Presidential CNG initiative. This is what we want when we ask for private sector partnerships. We want companies that do not just come to us seeking for freebies, but ones that have already done their own work, they've developed their project, they've identified sources of funding that can plug along with us.
We're very excited about what mini LNG unlocks in terms of Nigerian participation in the gas sector. A major reason for lack of development of the gas sector has been the fact that infrastructure in gas is expensive. But with the mini LNG technology, we're able to participate as Nigerians in this sector in a major way. Our aim is clear in LNG Arete to support the federal government in deepening gas utilization across Nigeria, and especially in the underserved regions of northern Nigeria. We're excited for what it does, not just for mobility CNG, which is one of our major targets, but for industrialization in the region and the employment of youth in that region.
All right, Michael Oluwagbemi, Program Director and CEO, Presidential CNG Initiative, joins us in the studio to tell us more about the issues. All right, so what really should Nigerians be expecting here? I mean, you were talking there about not people coming to take, but someone giving to Nigeria, as it were.
Yeah, so thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. I think the first thing first is to say that the intent of these, the Presidential CNG Initiative, of course, is to ensure that Nigeria utilizes gas resources to enable cheaper, safer, more reliable transportation. Of course, currently gas resources in the country is primarily in the south. And so that benefit, as it were, since the program flagged off about a year ago, has been largely enjoyed by the southern states, especially the southwest, southeast, south-south, and some parts of north-central, because the pipeline ends at Ajaokuta, which is in Kogi State. Okay. However, in order for us to extend the gas resources of Nigeria to the other parts of the country, the more than 16 to 17 states that currently do not enjoy the benefit of it, there's a need for us to have these plants, the liquefied natural gas plant that allows us to liquefy the gas at the point where it ends currently, and then truck it across the country to be regasified and then utilized in distant places away from Ajaokuta. Of course, this is a sort of like a short gap, a stopgap measure until the AKK pipeline now is going to be able to transport gas across the country. It's under construction, but of course, given the timeline it takes for to not just construct it, get it started, and of course build the downstream pipelines that will take it into the hinterlands and the different cities, we're looking at a few years. And so we want to make sure that those benefits are immediately enjoyed by the northern states, and that's the reason why we entered this partnership. There are about 5 mini LNG plants that have been developed in Ajaokuta. We did a groundbreaking, 5 of them. And this one particularly is actually almost shovel ready. It's going to be ready to operate in the next 12 to 16 months. That's why we're giving it the extra support so that it can come online very quickly. So that in about 12 to 16 months, we'll be able to celebrate LNG being trucked across to Kaduna, to Katsina, to Jigawa, to Sokoto, as well as Maiduguri, where they can also now enjoy the benefits of compressed natural gas vehicles. So this project is about really deepening and extending the coverage of natural gas across Nigeria, leveraging the mini LNG technology that's available to us.
Particularly for the north.
Absolutely.
So, break it down. How will the north Because I don't even think the South really has started really to enjoy the CNG. I mean, how many places do you really see it? Even the buses or the cars?
I'm sure if you take a little notice on most of your trucks today in Nigeria, yeah, the Dangote trucks, the Bua trucks, the Coca-Cola trucks, most of them use CNG. The reason why Nigeria has enjoyed a rather bated and
that's
reducing
not where
inflation.
Nigerians would want it. I mean, they want it. You talked about making transportation easy, cheaper.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what they would want it.
Yeah, so you want to look at this in two ways. If you are using it for your logistics, that impacts everything. It impacts your food cost. It impacts the cost of goods and services. The food is coming from the north, so the agricultural products comes to the south. The energy is coming from the south, it goes to the north, as well as the one that comes from the port.
Yeah.
So that bottom line inflation that you experience is impacted largely by transportation, because transportation costs accounts for about 30 to 40% of landing these goods and services anywhere you go to.
Exactly.
So it's important that that sector, the heavy-duty trucking sector, which is one that have already been transitioning now in the last year, begins to experience it. But of course, we've extended this to mass transportation. So far, we've converted directly at the PCNGI more than 10,000 vehicles through the what we call the Conversion Incentive Program. We've seen the wide adoption of compressed natural gas vehicles by private individuals.
In how many states?
This is around 17 states currently. Of course, that's 17 states that have access to CNG. Like I said, you cannot have CNG access in the north today. Our signing on Friday allows us to be able to plug in the north, and in about 12 to 16 months, we'll be able to turn on gas that will then be able to extend as far as Jigawa, Sokoto, and
So the north has got to still wait for a year and 6 months.
Yeah, any good thing takes time. Even you, before you were born, you took 9 months.
Yeah.
So you must start first to do it. You have to design it. It took us about 7 months to negotiate this agreement to be able to get this company the money it needs. It needed $27.3 million. That's serious cash in this economy, as you can imagine. But we were able to get private sector as well as different funds from government agencies to come in. And so to us, it's not about, we're not going to solve the problem of inflation and transportation overnight. But what we need to do as a country is to be deliberate, following the vision of Mr. President, because the President has a vision. This country is a gas country that happens to have some oil, but for far too long, we've been dependent on using crude oil, sometimes that we don't even refine. And crude oil is expensive. We'd rather, as a country, refine our crude oil and export it to those people who need it, but use our gas, which is cheaper, is cleaner, is safer, more reliable. And that's what we've been doing at the PCNGI. We've been able to attract over $491 million of investment in the last year. This investment represents just one of that, just $27 million of what we've attracted.
That's what I was going to talk about.
Yep.
There's no free lunch.
No.
What are they getting in return?
Definitely you're getting market share.
No, I mean the Arete, I think is Arete, am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Arete.
Absolutely.
Limited to 27.3 million.
Yes.
What are they?
They are in business, so they are investing in a plant that will be selling 7 million scoff of gas a day. But that gas is displacing diesel that is costing about 4 times more. That is more dangerous. That is polluting your air, and is also dangerous for your health. I mean, so for us, it's a net win for Nigeria. I mean, we're using our gas. Our gas currently, we are flaring north of about 800 million scoff of gas a day. We produce about 6 billion. The president has given NNPC a mandate to raise that to 10 billion cubic feet of gas a day, billion cubic feet of gas a day. If they do that, we want to also ensure that we increase our domestic utilization of that gas. We cannot continue to export our gas through LNG alone. We have to use that gas to industrialize. We have to use that gas to create jobs. We have to use that gas to enable a lower cost of running our economy. So companies like this are investing. They're investing and they're creating jobs. This particular company is going to be creating immediately during construction over 500 jobs. After construction, they'll be employing over 150 people. But beyond that, they'll be enabling industries in the north because they'll be moving these LNG to power stations. Most of those textile mills in the north that have stopped working because of power, they can then be able to use LNG to power their power station, or CNG to do the same thing through captive power sources. So all of these things are going to generate jobs, going to increase GDP growth, and ultimately it's about Nigeria using its own resources to power itself.
That'll be interesting. You know, I've always wondered, when I look at, I mean, I was just looking at it now, the CNG, I've always wondered, that CNG, that's it, is in the boot of the car.
Yeah.
So why am I expected to have, if I'm traveling or I want to put my things in the car, why am I expected to put them?
In life, there's always a trade-off.
When you have the CNG blocking the boot, which is for that purpose, why am I expected? I mean,
in life, there's always a trade-off. So you want to keep the extra luggage, or you want to get 90% cheaper fuel to move. That's your choice.
no, yeah, but
It's an engineering choice. So like I'm saying, that person there is making a choice. Say, look, I want to enjoy to move from here to Lagos on just 5,000 naira worth of fuel. I want to do that on 70,000 naira. So is that extra luggage space worth 65,000 naira? And they're making that choice and saying, no, I'd rather use gas. So ultimately, there's no, like you said, there's no free lunch. You have to have trade-offs. But for us as a country, the most important thing is that we need to move towards the safer, the cheaper, and more reliable fuel, which is gas. It's a no-brainer. Why should I be paying 100,000 a week when I can fuel for the same 9,000 naira a week? So ultimately, it's about making those choices. And I think the instincts of the Nigerian people is right. We've seen a dramatic increase in uptake of CNG. People now talk about long lines at the fuel station. When we started the PCNG last year, we had just 7 dispensing stations in the country. We had just 11 dispensing stations, and 7 conversion centers. There are over 242 conversion centers today, more than 50,000 vehicles that are running on CNG. Tons of trucks running on CNG across the country. So the Nigerian people are switching because, of course, the switch is good for the wallet. And even more importantly for us as a government, it's also good for the economy. It's creating jobs. It's enabling GDP growth. And, of course, it's enabling us to have cleaner, cheaper, and safer fuel for the economy.
all right, the MD, CEO, right, PCNG, I think we'll leave it there. I mean, the most important thing is that Nigerians want to see these things and they want transportation easier for them.
Absolutely.
I mean, the question one will ask is, I mean, it's good you're reading out the statistics, but are they really seeing it out there?
I think the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I think if you go to the streets of Nigeria, this is probably the most successful program of Mr. President. They're enjoying CNG, and I think for us is that we're building one step at a time. And for us, it's about getting and slowly ensuring that the private sector itself is driving this. It's not just about the government. The private sector must invest. And we've seen more than, like I said, $491 million of investment in the last year.
In CNG.
And we're targeting another $1 billion this year.
All right.
Thank
Wish
you.
the best. Thank you so much, Oluwagbemi, for being here on News Now.